I'm Doth Savick, and this is the Squatch Legend. This bag retails currently for $225. That's a pre-order price on this, and for that price it comes with a cooler insert, which is one of my favorite things about this bag. It's really a pretty cool concept. Shipping for me was $30, so $225 plus $30. That's what I paid for this bag. It is still in its pre-order phase. If we take a quick look at the website here, squatchdiscgolf.com, you can see that it's available in two different color combinations, both the charcoal/salmon and what I've got here for us to look at today, the forest and orange. $225. If we click on one of those, we can see right here, this is pre-order. These aren't in stock shipping right now. They are still in transit. Squatch has been really good about sending out email updates on these to keep everybody that's ordered one in the loop as to just what current delays are. Cross your fingers. There's a chance that these will be showing up to people's homes this month, but it's just not guaranteed. It might take longer than that. If you're already in the pre-order, you know all about it. And, if you're thinking of ordering one right now, that's just something to be aware of. The exact arrival date is still kind of unknown on these. The weight on this bag, it is coming in at 1.71 kilos. That is 3 pounds, 12 ounces. That puts this in a really sweet spot for being one of the lightest bags for its size. If we look at the next bag that's just a little bit heavier than this one, then we're talking about the Rebel. The most recent version of the Rebel is 1.8 kilos, 4 pounds. If we try to look at what's just lighter than this bag, technically the Revolution Dual Pack is in there. That guy is just 1.7 kilos, 3 pounds, 12 ounces. Just a little bit, like 100 grams or so lighter. Of course, that Dual Pack is a completely different beast. The next thing we're talking about that I've tested and weighed is the Grip CS. And that's like crazy that for how big this is, all of the stuff that it can carry, the next lighter thing is a Grip CS. This does pretty close to tie weight-wise with the pound Octothorpe. Now, it really is a better size comparison with the Octo Haul for the dimensions of this bag, but it's at the lighter weight of the Octothorpe. So super impressive that we've got a bag that can carry so much stuff, that's made of some very high quality, both a 1,000 denier and 500 denier Cordura. Cordura is a material not used by too many bags out there. Revolution is doing it. I want to say Gorilla Boy is as well on their Simeon, and then that's a material that Voodoo used to use as well. I'm maybe forgetting another one out there. Pound, of course, they're using the Cordura as well. It's just great stuff. Like you can feel the difference, and this has a very high quality feel to the material on this bag. Comparing it touch-wise to Pound and to Revolution, this is a little bit softer to the touch, and it has a double treatment of a waterproof, water-resistant, something of that sort, coating on there, and that's quite likely what's making it feel a little bit more velvety to the touch, whereas some of the other Cordura of the same weight feels a little bit more rough. So let's dig straight into this and check it out. I'm excited to show this bag off to you guys. I've been carrying it for quite a while now. I had a friend come in from out of town, and we played a bunch of rounds. We played 6 rounds in 3 days, and while he was here, I asked if he'd carry this, and I carried the Grip AX4 for 2 days. I carried the Lat 64 Luxury E4 bag for 2 rounds, and then I also did 2 rounds with the Rebel, the new Rebel bag. So I've got all of those fresh in my memory compared with this one, and ready to show it all to you. Probably my favorite thing about this bag is the low side pockets down here. And I've got this one zipped up. That's not how I would normally carry it, but I wanted to show you just how nicely that does fit. And this is with the cooler that we've got in this side. And normally I would have this flap tucked down here. You know, I've already got a zipper closure on the cooler, so we don't need to zip that side pocket closed. The fitment on this cooler is so good. I really like that we've got the combination of being able to pull that cover over it and zip it, you know, completely closed if we want. But also when it's unzipped, the zipper on the cooler sits a little bit higher than the zipper on this pocket, so you don't get a whole bunch of rubbing there. There's no obstruction. The cooler insert doesn't accidentally, you know, sag down too low so that it becomes difficult to work that zipper. I'm not going to dig all the way into that cooler right now, but I wanted to show you how well it fits on that side. When we come over to the other side pocket and open it, you will see that I have 2 Nalgene's in there. You know, a full 32-ounce Nalgene, and the pocket is high enough that I can still zip that closed. That's a huge difference over some of the other, you know, beverage holders that we have out there on other bags. Others that are at a shallower height, if you're carrying a really tall bottle, you're at risk of having that thing fall out. And I've had people ask me, you know, how tight different cup holders are, bottle holders. You know, if you're bending over with the bag on your back, is that, you know, beverage going to come flying out of there? And even with the full-size Nalgene on, if you're having that sort of issue with this bag, you can just completely zip it closed, and you're totally secure. You're not going to launch Nalgene out of there. On this side, we have a divider in there as well. It's got Velcro front and back. You can, you know, grab that thing and pull it out. It does not go all the way to the top. You know, it's at a lower height down here. That does make it so that you can drop a can in there if you want. I'll put a couple cans to show you how they sit with the height of that divider. You can see that the cans are really close to the same height as the divider. Of course, this can, you can see, is starting to tip over. That spot in there is much larger than a can, so you don't get like a nice snug fit to drop a 12-ounce or a 16-ounce can in there. It's not the best place to have one ride if you have an open beverage. And if you want, I can pull that Velcro out, or I've just attached it from one side and swung it, and I can start putting discs in there instead. There's 4 drivers. There's 5 drivers, and I can keep going. I think 6th one is getting tight. It will fit in there, but I'm starting to push into the side pocket back here, so that's getting a little bit crazy. You can fit a lot in there, and again, it's tall enough that you can zip that closed and completely secure the discs. So depending on how many, you know, beverages or other stuff you're trying to carry, you can really expand the total disc capacity of this bag. I haven't tried this yet. I set my hoodie there because I wanted to show it how it fits in the full height side pocket, but this is an extra large hoodie there, and I can still fit that in the lower side pocket if I want. So you got lots of versatility over there. The extra height on these is, you know, maybe a small thing to some people, But I see that as a huge advantage to be able to have all those other options on what you're going to put in there. The main compartment that I've got here, as I have it set up right now, we're at 7 putters and mids, and then I have 12 drivers in there for a total of 19. And you can see I'm not jamming it completely full. I've got extra room. I can slide another disc or 2 in there right now. And if I start taking, some of the stuff out of the side pockets that I had loaded up, it even gives a little bit more space. The main flap above the disc compartment definitely can handle discs. There's a couple drivers in there. Of course, a mid is even a little bit lower profile than that. Standard, it's a little bit harder to pull your discs out of that main compartment if you're going to put, discs in that main flap above it. You do have a pretty low cut here on the front. Definitely not low enough that I'm ever, have had to worry about discs falling out. That's not a concern. You can see it's a soft bottom bag. Those discs hang down in there. So very good access to pulling the discs out. It can get a little bit tighter over on the corners. That's a Comet, so it is an oversized disc. But you can see it's still, even with everything loaded up pretty full, I can still get that guy out. On the putter compartment on the top, we've got some funky stuff going on. And if I say the low side pockets are probably my favorite things about this bag, the putter compartment is maybe what needs a little bit more work. Could be improved. You can see that I've got 4 putters up in there, and those fit in quite well as I drag the straps over my keyboard. I have a towel underneath these, so if I pull that towel out, then they will sit lower. What is maybe the most frustrating thing that I've been encountering using this putter pocket is that the flap for our closure has a pocket that we can stuff it down in, and that's where I've had it. Now, when it is tucked that way, and I had a mini marker in there as well, you've got a little extra space to put stuff. When I'm stacking my putters in there and go to put the next one in, that edge of that putter catches that pocket. And I find that happening quite a bit. You kind of just get rejected. That last one just won't quite go in there. If I just grab discs and try to push them in, that's caught again on that pocket. So a couple things that I've been doing, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to lose that disc, but I like seeing all my putters sitting in there just perfectly, right? Like that is more aesthetically pleasing. So a lot of times, instead of putting that last putter in the front, I'll put it in between a couple of others. And even in that scenario, they still don't necessarily all want to lay flat. And I found that what's happening is the bottom piece of fabric to cradle or whatever that those discs are coming into, it's not staying very taut. It is sagging down in the middle, and that's kind of bringing all 4 of those bottom edges of the putters together, and it makes it just like a little bit of extra work. You can come in here and pull those and kind of dress them up, and they're going to sit, nice and pretty. Like that's the nice aesthetic look that I like. I'd like to be able to just drop them in there and have them want to do that already. Having that towel down underneath can help get them to lay a little bit better. You can also take that little flap out of the equation that I was showing the front putter getting caught on. It is nice, again, to have that you can drop a mini marker in, or you could potentially put larger stuff in there as well. You could do a rangefinder, something like that, and the more stuff you add in there, the more likely your putter is to catch that edge, and more bulky stuff does start to obstruct the bottom edge of those putters as well. But If you're not using that to store little extra items, then you can take that flap and lay it down like that. And then it's hiding that pocket, so you're not gonna have it bind when you're, sliding a full stack of discs in there. So that's an option too. Again, it is nice to have that spot for a mini marker. It is one of the better spots on the bag for a mini marker, but you could do other things. You could put that mini other places if you wanted. I think part of the reason that I don't know what to call it, that little bottom piece of fabric in there is sagging is because the front edge of the bag here, this piece, tends to go concave. You can see it just curving in there a little bit. And I think it's pulled in by these discs being pushed down, the weight of them. And that's kind of what starts that chain reaction in there. It's not necessarily a functional problem. I'm just trying to find stuff to nitpick, right? And that's one thing that I'm like, my putters aren't just sitting perfect every single time, and I'm catching on that pocket on occasion. So that's something that you might find and find that bugs you a little bit too, and you might adjust that flap to see what you like better. In the tall pockets here, we've got a few different places that you can store stuff. I have taken advantage of the little part over here to hang my keys. That is the spot that my keys have been living. I've messed around with this pocket on this side, and I've tried a few different things over there. It is a decent spot for a whale sack. You can go with something a little bit bigger like a rangefinder over there as well. Something of that extra weight does start to get some movement out of that panel, but if you pull the zipper up to that high or higher, then it's kind of going to help support that weight and prevent that from sagging down completely. This pocket here is where I've been putting my wallet. It is an optional spot for cell phone. You can see right there I was kind of overly being dramatic about that, trying to show it off, but it doesn't always want to, even with like a skinny phone, I don't necessarily get in there for free. Sometimes I've got to grab that with another finger to pull that out. It's just like a little bit tight there. I wonder if some elastic across the top or just giving a little bit more fabric so that's willing to stick out, if it might make it a little easier to get some things in. For example, if I wanted to do rangefinder in there, I really got to work for it. Like, it will go, but I've got to fight that to pull it out. Even my wallet is like a little bit tight in there, but I like how low this zipper pulls down. It lets that pocket open super wide, and you can fit a ton of stuff in there. I've got glasses case down at the bottom. Here's that hoodie that I used earlier. And it just gets swallowed up in there. That's, I'm using a little bit more than half of that pocket with an extra large size hoodie. You need extra layers, rain jacket. This is an extra large bag. It is geared towards somebody that's out there touring, playing tournaments, whatever. You can carry so many discs plus so much extra gear. It's a big one. It can carry a ton. I really like the zippers that we've got on this bag. Combined with the a little bit softer feel of the Cordura, these zippers have smaller gauge teeth than, notably the pound bags. And this lets them pull so much easier. I don't have to get that second hand in there and, hold that stiff zipper firmly in place in order to get the pulls to move. Plus, we've got a really nice tight fit on that coated zipper to help with keeping water out. I've carried this through a couple rainy rounds, and even without a rain fly on it, I didn't have any issues. On the left shoulder side, we've got some Molly style, little daisy chain of webbing over there, and you can use a ball bungee through there and put a stool down through, on one side of that little Velcro divider. I didn't try, I don't remember if I put a ball bungee on this one. I really like these little rubber coated wire ties. You can bring something like that in there, and you could tie on anything you want. If there's a little retriever that you want to add, or an umbrella, something like that, that type of tie works great. Plus the orange matches the zippers on here, which is good. On the right shoulder side of the bag, back to like our nice presentation here. I love the logos that we've got, both on top of the cooler and on this pocket here. This guy also has a bonus little surprise underneath there with the added graphic. This is a pocket that's made specifically to hold your cell phone, and it's got a couple of magnets that help snap it closed. You can hear it, click as I'm dropping it there. It's got a really nice feel to it. Without Velcro there, it lets you, get in there pretty quietly. If you want to slide your phone out while somebody else is lining up their shot on the T-pad or whatever, you don't have to pull on some Velcro. You don't have to pull a zipper. You can be quiet about it. My phone wouldn't fit in there. I've got a Samsung S21, I don't know, it's a Plus or Ultra or something like that. It's a big phone, nearly tablet size. And I had a pretty large, bulky case on there as well, really protecting it from some drops. And I couldn't get it in with that large case on there. So I bought a little bit lower profile case, and now it just slides in there perfectly. It is still a tight fit. I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room, but it does, and it's satisfying to have my phone fit in there. Especially with how tight the squeeze is with my phone, I do have trouble getting it in there if I have very much stuff loaded inside this pocket. You can see with the phone in there, it's keeping this panel very taut. If I pull my phone out and take a speed gun, for example, and slide it into that pocket that we've got there, and you can see it's adding a curve to this side out here. And when I open that, I now have the edges kind of disappearing. And suddenly that's what is happening when I'm trying to get my phone in. If you have a little bit of a smaller phone, you're not going to have to fight that quite as much. Or you just avoid putting too high of profile stuff in this side pocket over here. Now, you do only have so many options for where you're going to store those items. If I've got, of course, a speed gun's a little bit of a weird thing to carry, but, a lot of guys are carrying rangefinders now. So I've got my keys, my wallet, I've got my rangefinder, and then I've got my cell phone. Those 4 items, and I've only got so many options. For my keys, I've got, the clip to hang them on. That's great. And then I have the 2 pockets over here, and then 2 pockets over here. Now, these do sort of obstruct each other, right? So depending on what you're putting in here, you've only got those 2 options. I guess the other one I would add on to that list is the whale sack. And so I feel like I'm juggling. I've been moving those things around, trying to figure out just where the perfect home is. It was more of a frustration for me when my phone wouldn't fit in this pocket at all. Now that my phone does fit in there with the smaller case, I don't run into that issue quite as much, but I do feel that my hands are tied a little bit more than they are with a grip, for example. That big valuables pocket on the grip, you can just dump stuff like that in there. And there's a couple little spots to hold them separate. That is the kind of trade-off you have to make if you're going to keep the bag super light, though. You can't have a whole bunch of extra layers of fabric and extra pockets, and you got to consider that. There is a price to pay for the extra lightweight. Personally, I think the lightweight is huge. Like of course, I'm weighing every bag. I'm letting you guys know what they come out to. So I think going with the lightweight is great, but, you know, it does come with its trade-off, right? Inside this panel here, we've got a few spots that we can put in pens, pencils, stuff like that. You can see that did catch for me the first time going in there, and I have been having a little bit of that issue with it kind of stuffing on that edge like that. You know, maybe they just need to take some shape. I need to keep things in there so that maybe it'll even stretch out a little bit. We've got two taller ones that are great for Sharpies or longer objects. It's wide enough that you have the option to put other stuff. Like you can get a flashlight in there, you can get a pocket knife, some other stuff like that. And then this guy is sewn short so that your short golf-sized pencils can fit in there just fine, and you can fit a little pile of them in there. I have quite a bit packed in here. I've got a couple of bags filled with all sorts of different things, and then I jammed 2 towels down into the bottom of this. So I have a very heavy loadout with all the things that I've jammed in here. Let's see, I also wanted to show, I did what, 5 drivers, 6 drivers in this low pocket. What did I have in that stack? 3, okay, 5 in this stack, plus I pulled 1 from the main. So, you know, potentially 5 drivers over here. Well, potentially 6. Let's call it 5 just because it fits better. So that's adding 10 drivers, or let's say maybe 5 drivers and 3 mids for a total of 8 onto the 19 that we already had in the main compartment. And suddenly we're talking 27 plus... Or did I just do that math right? Yeah, 27 plus 4 putters on top, and you know, suddenly you're at 30 plus discs. It adds up really quick, but it doesn't stop there. These side pockets are deep enough that you can fit discs in there as well. And there's 4. There's four drivers in there, and that'll still zip closed. Keep in mind, I've got this fully loaded with cans. I've even got a ice pack in there. If I had a little bit lighter items in here, then I could probably stack more discs. So it's crazy. You can fit so many discs in this bag if you're loading it up for a fieldwork session, something like that. You can really go nuts. Let's go ahead and finish off looking at this cooler. What I've done, how I have it sitting right now, is 3 12-ounce cans, and they're just sitting in there about perfectly. Under those 12-ounce cans, I've got, I don't even know where I got this, it's just a cheap, generic, like Walmart or something, little ice pack. Frozen, and it was sitting in there like that with the cans on top. You can fit quite a few beverages in here. There's 2 12-ounces on top of each other. You know, tight if you were going to try to zip it closed, but you could definitely leave it open and, you know, put a whole pile of beverages in there. Now, this is dirty, okay? I did not clean this on purpose. So this is waterproof as long as you're not bringing the zipper into question. If you have, you know, water standing in there or a spilled beer or something like that and have it zip closed, if you fully turn it upside down, you're going to get water coming out past the zippers. As long as you're staying upright and you're not putting pressure on there, it holds water for hours and hours and hours. I filled it up one day, went to work, came back from work, and it was still completely dry. Now, one of the rounds that I had this out, and this, so I had two or 3 cans, I forget, and at least 2 of them had koozies on there. And I opened one up to start to take a few drinks between shots, and then I set it back down into that pocket. And then I forgot that I opened it after I threw my shot. Was, you know, super focused, whatever. Anyways, pick the bag up, swing it over my shoulder. How many times have one of you done that, or you've seen somebody do it? And it is 30 steps later that you start feeling something dribbling down your back or onto your leg and realize that your drink spilling all over the place. Well, I didn't get, that unfriendly reminder because it was all spilling inside the cooler. Now, one of the koozies that I had in there is bright pink, and its color started to leach out. When I got home and looked in there, it was all, pink water. It was gross. And I couldn't help but think, if I had made that same mistake with pretty much any other bag, I potentially would have dyed some of the fabric on the bag pink because of that koozie. But the fact that this guy is waterproof, it kept it all in there. I'll get that light to pull down so you can see how dirty this is. All of that stuff that you see on there, that would be inside this pocket if it wasn't for the cooler insert here. So I really see advantages to using a cooler insert like this, not only to help insulate, which it does. There's foam in there to add insulation. Not only will it help keep things cold, but it also helps keep your bag cleaner. I can pull that back inside out like I had it and just wash that thing to get it clean. This insert also is the right size to stuff straight into that tall pocket if you want. So if you for whatever layout reason you're going for, if you want to move that cooler insert in here, then you've opened up this side pocket to use. That kind of makes me wonder if there wouldn't be an advantage to having Velcro on this side also, and maybe a second divider, so that you've got options for where you want to set your Nalgene's or larger bottles of that size, and where you might want to move the cooler with your snacks in it or whatever you've got there. The side pockets here do have a couple of grommets on them, and I think this is really interesting that they decided to not put the grommet fully on the bottom down here, like that's where you'd expect to see it on most other bags, but these are slightly up higher. And what they're thinking there is that still provides some airflow to help dry things out if you were to have a spill in there, and if you had a lot of liquid get in there, then it would be able to just run straight out. Also, by not having that grommet all the way on the bottom, it helps stop letting moisture from grass and setting a puddle on the ground, putting your bag in a puddle, something like that. It helps stop that outside water from getting in. So I think it's a cool concept. We'll see how it works in the long run. As I mentioned earlier, it is a soft bottom bag. You can see it kind of the belly poking out there where the discs are pushing through. We do have stiff panels in the sidewall here. This is a plastic insert that runs up and makes this curve here. And then there is also a plastic panel across the front, and its edges come all the way up here to help keep the fabric nice and taut up in that area. And then we've got a little bit of a stiff panel on the back. You can see my finger moving through there. This part over here is soft. The stiff panel is right where that back padding material is. It covers the same shape. Now, we'll talk about how this fits and feels on the back. I think it was on the very first day that I put this bag on my back, I felt like I was getting poked over here, and that it was because the discs on the edge can kind of push, I've got my hand on the other side pushing on that disc, right, so you can see it poking through. And for whatever reason, I felt like that's what was touching my back, and I don't know if it was just the specific way that I had it loaded out that day, but I've never felt it again. Still, I thought I would mention it. I did feel like I was getting a little bit there, and then none afterwards. What has persisted that has just seemed like a little bit curious to me, I've not quite been able to nail it down, but it's where I feel these straps hit my shoulders. If I've got, hunching forward a little bit, I've got that ball of my shoulder, and that's poking out. A lot of bags, like if I'm doing a direct comparison here, a noticeable difference between the Squatch and the Rebel. The straps on the Rebel sit pretty much inside that ball that my shoulder makes. I feel it down in here. The Legend is sitting a little bit wider. I just have the feeling that it's about to slip off of my shoulders. It has not done that, but it gives me this feeling of just like a little bit of insecurity. And Brandon said the same thing. My buddy who tested it for 6 rounds, he was feeling that also. We got rained on at one point. He put on a light rain jacket, which is like a really slick sort of ripstop material, and that made it feel like it was slipping around, or even more likely to slip. So both of us experienced that. I loaded this up and put it on my back and started measuring how far apart the straps sit. And I did that with a number of other bags. It is sitting about an inch wider than the Rebel does. But if I compare this against the Grip AX4 and the Pound Octohaul, then the straps are sitting in the same spot. When I put it on, and when I'm moving around, they just slide to the same spot. But there's still a little bit of a different feeling on these, and I just haven't quite figured it out. If it's how the strap might be sitting one way or the other. Of course, you can tell I'm moving it around here. It has plenty of movement to it. The padding on these is awesome. It is very stiff, and it's thick. We've got a lot of padding there, so it is very comfortable as long as you can get it into a spot that it doesn't feel like it's about to slip off for you. And what that really may mean is that you're potentially going to use the sternum strap on this more than other bags. That's definitely something that I found myself doing, is clipping that sternum strap in more often than I do on most bags. I really like the amount of room that we've got to move the sternum strap up and down. In particular, it goes really low on the straps, and that's a mistake, in my opinion, that a number of other companies have made, is not letting those pull low enough. For example, on the Rebel, I'm almost getting choked by that sternum strap, even when it's in its lowest position, and that's not an issue that we've got here. I've done this on a couple other bags, just trying to figure out a way to tie up that tail for the sternum strap there. And in this case, that's not where I have it is not where it normally sits. That's how long that tail is. And what I did is just took the free end and thread it right through that little gap there, and that helps just kind of keep it tied up. It's one less little strap to step on, when I'm getting ready to pick the bag up, something like that. So just a little tip. That might be something you like to do as well. At the top of these straps here, we've got a couple D-rings, a couple extra places that you can hang stuff if the kind of molly style attachment points over here aren't enough. You do have a couple D-rings there. Haul loop is great. It's a folded over piece of webbing. It's pretty soft, but also stiff enough that it just keeps wanting to sit up there high, where it's super easy to grab a hold of. It's an awesome bag. I've really enjoyed using it. I think that the strongest attributes this bag has is how lightweight it is, the huge amount of capacity, and how versatile that capacity is. you've got so many spots that you can choose to put discs, that you can choose to put the cooler insert, that you can, jam an extra jacket or two if you want. It's a really solid combination, especially when you consider how high quality of fabrics are being used with it. If there's anything that I would criticize, and maybe we'll see some changes over time, is with a couple things in the kind of shape of that putter pocket, and then also where those straps are sitting. And like, I'm trying to compare it against a grip, and like, look at how many times grip has changed, upgraded, reshaped their backpack straps. And I'm still not sure they're happy. They've come a long way. I think their newest version of the straps are great, but that might be something that we see with the Legend as well, if it's going to go through further iterations. I have been using these a little bit to hang a chalk bag off of. That's one of two ways that I've utilized those MOLLE straps up there. Otherwise, I've put a quick stick in them. I think that's it, guys. I think I've gone over everything. I don't believe I'm leaving anything out. I know this is a little bit of a longer one, but this is a bag that I paid a whole lot of attention to. I have got it through a whole lot of rounds and enjoyed contrasting it with a few other bags while I was testing this one out. So I hope you're psyched on your pre-order. I imagine a bunch of people that are watching this, at least in the near future, have probably already ordered one and are waiting. And if you are holding off on the pre-order, then hopefully I've given you enough information to decide whether you do want to pull the trigger and get one ordered right away, or perhaps if you decide you want to go a different direction. But either way, as always, I really appreciate everybody for hanging in and watching the review. Give me that thumbs up, hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't. Both of those things help me out a ton. So we'll catch you in the next review. Thanks for watching.